So should companies develop both Flash-based and HTML5-based videos? Or do they have to choose one or the other, or should they go all with both?
Yeah, I think they should do both at this point, just because neither one is going to support 100% of their users. With Flash, you can support the majority of your users, but you can't support the iPad and the iPhone users. And with HTML5, you can probably support about 50% of your users, and that number's growing, but it's still kind of low for any kind of production website. So definitely you want to do both. I think the real choice is which one you want to lead with. If you want to lead with HTML5 or lead with Flash. And I think a lot of people right now are leading with Flash because they need specific features, or they've invested a lot of money in their Flash player. But I think we'll see that change over time with people leading with HTML5 more.
Has HTML5 adoption outpaced some of the initial expectations?
Yeah, I think it has. I think it got a nice little kick in the butt from Apple requiring it for video playback on the iPhone.
Right.
I think without that, it would still be more of a cool technology that the earlier adopters were really using, but since it's now required for so many of these users, you see a lot of the more bigger players adopting it and making that possible. So yeah, from that standpoint, definitely.
So there's a format war brewing, right? H.264 and WebM. Which of those do you think is going to win out in the end?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I see two ways that this format war could end. The first way being if H.264 was made completely open source and free. If that happened, everybody's already kind of using H.264 now. I think everybody would just get behind that, start using that for everything, and WebM would kind of go away at that point. But I don't necessarily see that happening soon. I think MPEG-LA is probably making a good amount of money on H.264 and doesn't want to give that up. The other side of how the format war could end is if Apple adopted WebM into the iOS devices. Right now, I think all the other major players have expressed some interest in WebM, including Adobe and Flash. And so really, Apple is kind of the last sticking point that would force everybody to continue to encode in H.264. So if they adopted that, I think it would help WebM a lot. I don't necessarily see that happening soon either, though, because Apple, they have hardware built into iOS devices that encode and decode H.264, so it wouldn't be a quick upgrade. And they're also part of MPEG-LA, and they've invested a lot of money in H.264. So it'd take a lot more to get them to make that change. So what I can see possibly happening is everybody else first implementing WebM, and then hopefully at that point Apple would feel the pressure, but that could be years out. So
sure.
So we'll see.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the last question I have for you, and it's a loaded question.
Okay.
But for video and only for video, do you see HTML5 supplanting Flash?
Supplanting Flash. For video,
yeah,
yes.
Just for video.
Yeah, for video, yes, I do see it supplanting Flash. Obviously, Flash has been a key part to kind of the growth of video on the web, but I think HTML5 is kind of the next iteration. Right now, it's kind of a new technology, so it doesn't have everything that Flash does, but I think if you look at the next generation of web developers, they're learning HTML and they're learning JavaScript, and when we get to the point where HTML5 video is supported by the majority of web users and it has the majority of the features that we need, those developers, they're not going to want to learn ActionScript 3 in addition to everything else they're learning. They're just going to stick with what's available and what they're used to. And so I think in time, this could be like years and years away, but I think in time, eventually HTML5 video will supplant it for specifically video. Now everything else, I couldn't say. Flash is a great platform, and obviously they can innovate a lot faster than the W3C spec can, and all the different browsers implementing these things. And that's kind of the benefit of third-party plugins, that they can innovate and add these new features. But yeah, as far as video, I think in time it will be supplanted.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Welcome.